Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Om Stapakaya Dharmasya Sarvadharma Swarupine Stapakaya Dharmasya Sarvadharma Swarupine Avatara Varishtaya Ramakrishna Te Namaha Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Pratyorma Mritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us bow down to Sri Ramakrishna, the embodiment of all religions, the Supreme God incarnate. Let us pray to that Supreme Being to lead us from unreal to the real, to lead us from the darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, to lead us from death to immortality. We have been discussing since last two classes about the achievement of the meditative awareness and how it is very important to have strong aspiration and how the will should be operated upon. And we also discussed in the last class that every action has three kinds of sankalpas. One was karma sankalpa, attachment of the will to the action. Then karma phala sankalpa, attachment of the will to the fruit of action. And thirdly, kartrutva sankalpa. It is not kartavya sankalpa, it is kartrutva. That is attachment of the will to egoism. So, the progress of karma yoga consists in giving up these three sankalpas, one after the other, which means detachment of the will in three stages. Out of 5 types of meditative awareness, we have already dealt with 3 of them, namely awareness of the body, how the body should be properly kept up, and how the functions of the body are to be carried on in a proper way. Secondly, the awareness of the mind. And thirdly, awareness of the work. The fourth one, which I am discussing today, is awareness of the world. The reconciliation of work and meditation is only a part of the larger scheme of divinizing our whole life. So this reconciliation of work and meditation, you can see in our Ramakrishna mission, how all the Swamis, the work at the same time they meditate upon. There is no conflict between work and meditation. As long as you keep the attitude in the right way, there won't be any conflict. So you must divinize the whole life. That's the point. The difference between the sacred and the secular must go. If you have such distinctions, those distinctions are obstructions in our spiritual life, because such distinctions prevent us from opening ourselves fully to universal life and attaining the fullness of self-realization. The distinction between the sacred and the secular can be removed only maintaining the meditative state of awareness at all times. But it is necessary to see the world as a part of divine reality and establish a different relationship with it. Sri Ramakrishna has said many times in his teachings, the whole world is God's divine play. We are all here to play our role. Play nicely, then you will enjoy the world. You won't suffer. We suffer because of our ignorance, because we don't connect ourselves to divine, because we don't have meditative awareness. So, we are suffering. We may look upon all life as divine yoga and meditation work as parts of this yoga. Life itself is to be considered as yoga. Or we may do all work and meditation as upasana, worship of the divine. Everything is done for the sake of God. That attitude must be very strong, then you won't get any conflict in your activities. Outwardly, through our mental and physical activities, we worship the divine manifested as the universe. It has got specific term in Sanskrit. It is called Virat Upasana. Virat Upasana. Secondly, in the depths of consciousness, the witnessing self remains shining like the flame of a lamp at the altar of the inner controller of the universe. This is called Antaryami Upasana. Or again, we may regard our life as a yajna, a sacrifice, a participation in the cosmic sacrifice of the divine. That's why we see Lord Krishna teaching Arjuna, Nimitta matram bhava savyasachan. The whole thing is played by me. You are just an instrument. Everything is done by my supreme will. It is a fact. If you maintain your spiritual life and spiritual attitude, you will understand nothing is in your hands, everything is done by the supreme will of God. That's what we hear in this song, Sakali tomar icha, tomar karma, tumi koroma, loke bole, ami kori. Everything is done by you, but people say, we are doing, I am doing. Once that ego comes, that destroys the divinity, and naturally you'll have to suffer for it. Or we may convert our life into an expression of the divine sport or Leela. Whatever the attitude we adopt, it is necessary to open individual life at all levels to universal life. Divine power will then quickly bring about the transformation of our consciousness and the divinization of our whole life. It may take a long time to realize this goal. As a matter of fact, through our blind and impulsive selfish actions, we are interfering in the work of the divine much of our time. The fifth one is the awareness of the self. Kenopanishad says very clearly, Pratibodha viditam matam. The self is revealed in every state of consciousness. Every thought and every physical act produces a flash of self-revelation in us. But engrossed as we are in incessant activity, we rarely notice this. The constantly occurring interior revelation can be grasped only when we acquire the meditative state of consciousness. The inner self is a seat of God where He shines as the Supreme Self and inner controller. Awareness of the inner self matures in the fullness of time into awareness of the Supreme Self. Through the awareness of the inner self, Pratyagatman, through that awareness alone can we come into direct contact with God. All visions and spiritual experiences that come before the awakening of the inner self are only experiences of divine shadows and reflections and give only an indirect contact. So there are two ways of combining work and meditation. The first, the path of yearning. In this path, the aspirant will have extraordinary yearning. He lives a secluded life for some years, practices prayer and meditation with great intensity, and after realizing the light of the inner life, he returns to the active life. We have seen many times the holy people going to sacred places and spending their lifetime intensifying their devotional practices and achieving something positive. Then they feel immensely to share that joy with people, so they come to the world and be in the world, mix with the people and share the joy with them and try to remove all suffering of the people and try to help them in every possible way. Intensification of meditative life, however, produces severe reactions. Naturally, when you do intensely, it has got its own reactions. One should have the inner resources, one should have spiritual guidance to face them. Those who succeed in passing through the inner ordeal of fire will find reconciliation of work and meditation quite easy. There's another path, the second path. It is safer and more comfortable process but a slower one. It's not as fast as the first one. In this path, what you should do, you have to carry on your duties of life. Duties of life play a very important part. At the same time, you must cultivate the 5 types of meditative awareness by stages, in the order stated before, namely the awareness of the body, awareness of the mind, awareness of work, awareness of the world, and awareness of the self. Spiritual life is the spiritualization of one's total life. For this, 2 conditions are to be fulfilled. Bridging the gulf between inner life and outer life, and the conversion of every activity into a means of transforming consciousness. It is by unifying work and meditation into a single discipline that we can fulfill these conditions. When we constantly maintain the witness state of the self, look upon all mental and physical processes as a part of divine creativity, and keep the will fixed on the divine unwaveringly through intense aspiration, all the necessary changes and the transformation of consciousness will be effected spontaneously and rapidly by the power of divine grace. The difference between work and meditation will vanish, and your whole life will get divinized. That is the purpose of telling the spiritual aspirants to serve the holy people, to become associated with the holy people. By constantly serving them, you will find tremendous transformation in yourself on account of Guru's grace. The next point, Sri Ramakrishna said in the Gospel, what is Bhakti Yoga? It is to keep the mind on God by chanting His name and glories. By following this path, one comes to God more easily than by following the others. Then Sri Ramakrishna tells, the aim of prayer, of spiritual discipline, of chanting the name and glories of God, is to realize his true self. So Sri Ramakrishna, throughout his life we have seen how from the start of his life to the end, all through his life he was constantly praying and praying. His day would start with prayer. As soon as people come to meet him, Sri Ramakrishna would tell one of the devotees to sing a song, to sing a prayer. So that creates a wonderful divine atmosphere. It purifies the surroundings. It creates a mood towards receiving the spiritual ideas, and you'll be in tune with the divine. So all these things are possible in prayer. So if we know these things and accordingly practice them in the life, then your suffering can be minimized, and finally you can be free from suffering. All the suffering is because of ignorance, to put it in a broad way. On account of this ignorance, one has forgotten one's relation with God. So, in his spiritual isolation, he is like a bubble of air caught under a mass of water. It is striving to rejoin the vast atmosphere above. He is like a drop of water separated from the ocean, its home. It's struggling to run down to it. That's why you see how the rivers run as fast as it could. He is like a spark from a raging fire, separated and almost bereft of heat and glow. It wants to fall back into the blaze. Similarly, all human endeavors, all adventures are the various expressions of the soul's strivings to get back to its eternal home, namely God. We undergo suffering because we have not been united with God. That is the cause of our suffering. That shows we are separated from God, so we are suffering. God is like a boundless reservoir of infinite strength, wisdom, bliss and perfection. Suppose a man wants to irrigate his field. What he should do? He should cut a channel to connect it with the reservoir. So a man who wants eternal life, who wants eternal joy, he should link himself up with God. Suppose a house is to be illuminated. What do? It is to be connected suitably with the powerhouse. So is a man seeking eternal light should establish contact with God. So the first point is very clear. We should establish contact with God. How to do that? Sri Ramakrishna suggests prayer. That connects you very suitably. So prayer is the means by which you can establish contact with God, who is the embodiment of knowledge, truth and bliss, and draw from him the spiritual sustenance to nourish the soul. So, by constant practice, one understands that prayer is inward communion or a rapport of the soul with the oversoul. Mind is generally outgoing and it is full of desires, so many things. Because it is desire-laden, naturally the mind is unsteady. One important psychological fact is that the mind takes on the color of the thoughts it feeds upon. What is conscious now is unconscious a little while later. There is the heavy silt of impurities accumulated in the unconscious has been slowly and assiduously gathered by us, thought by thought. This silt has given its color to our mind and personality. So there is no easy way to clear this silt. If by constantly dwelling on objects of desires, the mind has become greedy and carnal, then by making it persistently dwell on God and divine attributes, we can make it calm, we can make it spiritual. Here comes the value of the mental prayer. All the Mahatmas, they tell the importance of mental prayer, what we call Manasa Puja, how everything has got value if you understand it properly, how everything is useful. So the mental prayer consists in silently concentrating the mind on the form and attributes of God. Sri Ramanujacharya, the great philosopher, saint, he says that God is a great ocean of innumerable blessed qualities. Take up any quality that appeals to you, purity, compassion, beauty or love, and think of it immensely. Then you will be able to clear up the subconscious lumber. The restless mind gradually becomes steady and pure. The inner cleavage and conflict disappear. New energy and happy well up from within, and you become transformed. Then comes the oral prayer. It consists in chanting hymns, in chanting verses to commune with God. One is petitionary prayer. There are 4 types. When people are passing through trials and privations, when they are passing through crisis, suddenly they look upon God for intervention. Lord Krishna has said in the Gita, Chaturvidha bhajante mam janaha sukritino arjuna arto jigyansarartharthi jnanecha bhartarshava. 4 types of virtuous men worship me. Who are they? Those who are in distress, those who seek knowledge, those who seek prosperity, and those endowed with wisdom. But while praying to God, they should learn to leave the actual fulfillment of the entreaty to His all-knowing will. He should say, O Lord, I am helpless and forlorn. It is you I can appeal for succor. If it be thy will, may I be rescued from this difficulty. So this way, one should develop devotion. Then that will help to leave behind the materiality and one becomes sublimated. There is another prayer, illuminatory prayer. A spiritual aspirant seeks divine help in spiritual matters for inner purification and enlightenment. Here also we find an element of petitioning. But when we implore God for purity, devotion, dispassion and knowledge, the prayer ceases to be petitionary in the customary sense. In fact, Sri Ramakrishna used to say, the desire for bhakti is no desire at all. Desires bind a person firmly to body and the world. But bhakti, devotion, liberates him from all bondages. God is the sole source of purity, knowledge and bliss. To be purified and illumined inwardly, you will have to think of and pray to Him. He is the holiness of the holy people and the teacher par excellence. So, under this classification, illuminatory prayer to Gayatri of the Vedas is a fine example of the prayer for illumination. Om Bhur Bhuvassuvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimai Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat. That's Gayatri. Let us meditate on the worshipful glory of the radiant being who illumines everything. May He guide our understanding. It is a prayer as much for others as it is for oneself. There is another example, exquisite example of this type of prayer in the Upanishads, which I just did before the commencement of the class. Asatoma sadgamaya tamasoma jyotirgamaya mrityorma mritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. From the unreal, lead me to the real. From darkness lead me to light. From death lead me to immortality. There is another type of prayer, it's called laudatory prayer. There is in the human heart something which resonates to the finger touch of the sublime and the beautiful, just as the sunrise on the seashore or the sunset glow on the snow peaks stirs our hearts to joy and song. The vastness, beauty and sublimity of God moved devotees to sing songs in glorification. Singing God's glory has the power to purify the mind and charge it with the strength of elevation, and one generally gets immense happiness. Singing the hymns, many spiritual aspirants have become illumined and perfected. Some of their compositions are instinct with a transforming power. We have many saints that way, singing, they have got illumination. There is another form of prayer, it's universal prayer. This is the spontaneous outpouring of a soul which feels for the good of all living beings in the whole universe. It inspires unselfishness, purifies the soul, brings inner and outer harmony, and tears down the prison walls of egoism. Some of the prayers are very well known. We usually pray, may all be free from dangers, may all realize what is good, may all be actuated by noble thoughts, may all rejoice everywhere. Again, we pray, Dujjana sajjano bhuyat, sajjana shantima apniyat, shanto muchyed bandhebhyo, muktaschanyan vimochayet. May the wicked become virtuous, may the virtuous attain tranquility, may the tranquil be free from bonds, may the freed make others free. And another famous prayer, Sarve jana sukhino bhavantu, Sarve santu niramayaha, Sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukkha bhag bhavet. Let everybody in this world be happy, let none have any misery or trouble, let everybody come across only good things, that is, let everybody have success, let no one experience sorrow. These prayers are mind elevating. There are only circular motions in the universe, no straight motions. See the way the sun, the stars and planets move. Thoughts also issue out and come back to you after circling the universe. So these prayers not only will purify you but help others in their circling. A man of prayer, because he stands on a universal principle, will be at peace with himself and the whole world. So what Sri Ramakrishna said, by praying to God, it is easy to establish communication with Him. It is the easiest of all the yogas. Swami Akhandanji used to say, one of the direct disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, he said, call upon God with all your heart. Go on telling Him, show thyself to me. I don't want anything else. I don't want the happiness of heaven. I want you, O Lord. Bring my desires to an end. Self-evolution is impossible in a narrow atmosphere of selfishness. Another direct disciple, Swami Vivekananda ji, whose birthday we observed recently, he said, Your goodwill should flow out for the whole world. Your daily prayers should include an invocation for the welfare of all. Swami Adbhutanand, another direct disciple, has said, it is easy to fool human beings, but not God. He knows your shortcomings in spite of your best efforts to hide them. Pray to the Lord with a guileless heart. O Lord, please remove all my faults. Please remove all my weaknesses. Finally, Swami Brahmananji, the spiritual son of Sri Ramakrishna, he said, we judge men by their actions, but God looks into their innermost minds. Be sure of this. God runs to him who prays with a sincere heart. So prayer has got very great significance. How I wish many people could come to prayer every day. Of course, practically it may be not possible because people are lost in their activities. Actually, temple, ashramas, they're all meant for providing these spiritual activities to the people who cannot by themselves do them in their homes. But people should make use of it. They should come here, sit for meditation, pray, participate in the spiritual activities, establish your relationship with the ashram in a very steady way. That's the way how you should turn yourself to God. That's the way to purify oneself. So let us follow this, maintain meditative awareness, work zealously without any conflict, meditate with wholeheartedness, offer everything at the feet of God, offer everything, including yourself, at the lotus feet of Sri Ramakrishna. Everything belongs to Him. Pray to Him for the welfare of all beings. That's the way to purify ourselves, and that's the way to have the realization of God in this very life. Holy Mother has said, whoever has taken Sri Ramakrishna's name will not go in vain. It is very certain Sri Ramakrishna will come and takes the soul. He himself comes and takes his soul to supreme abode of joy. Page 530. Sri Ramakrishna stood listening to the song and went into samadhi. The sun was still above the horizon as the master stood on the embankment in the ecstatic mood. On one side of him was the Ganges flowing north with the flood tide. Behind him was the flower garden. To his right one could see the Nahabat and the Panchavati. Narendra stood by his side and sang. Gradually the darkness of evening fell upon the earth. After Narendra and several other devotees had saluted the master and left for Calcutta, Sri Ramakrishna returned to his room. He was absorbed in meditation on the Divine Mother and was chanting her holy name. Jadu Malik had arrived at his garden house next to the Kali temple. He sent for the master. Other two had arrived from Calcutta, and he saluted Sri Ramakrishna. The master asked Latu to light the lantern and accompany him to Jadu's garden. Master said to M, "Why didn't you bring Naran with you?" M said, "Shall I come with you?" Master, "Do you want to come?" Adhar and the others are here. All right, you may come. Will the Mukherjees also come with us? To the Mukherjees, Sri Ramakrishna said, come along, then we can leave Jadumali quickly. The master went to Jadu's drawing room. It was a well-furnished room with everything spick and span. The lamps were lighted. Jadu was sitting with his friends and was playing with the children. Servants were in attendance. Smiling, Jadu welcomed Sri Ramakrishna, but he did not get up. He treated the master as a friend of long acquaintance. Jadu was a devotee of Gauranga. He had just seen a performance. Sri Ramakrishna told Jadu that Adhar had not been able to secure the post of vice chairman of the Calcutta municipality. Jadu said that Adhar was still young and could try for it again. At his request, the master sang a few songs about Gauranga. After the music was over, the Mukherjees were about to take their leave. The master too was ready to go, but he was in an ecstatic mood. On coming to the porch, he went into samadhi. The gatekeeper of the garden house was a pious man. Now and then he invited the master to his house and fed him. Sri Ramakrishna stood there in samadhi, and the gatekeeper fanned him with a large fan. Ratan, the manager of the garden house, saluted the master, and Sri Ramakrishna, returning to the consciousness of the relative world, greeted the manager and the gatekeeper, saying, Narayana. Then, accompanied by the devotees, he went back to the temple garden through the main gate. Master to the Mukherjees, pointing to M, please visit him often. Mukherjee smilingly said, yes, henceforth he will be our teacher. Master said, it is the nature of the hemp smoker to make merry in the company of another hemp smoker. He will not talk even to an Amir, but he will embrace a wretched hemp smoker if he happens to meet one. All laughed. It was about 9 o'clock. The Mukherjee brothers saluted the master and went away. Adhar and M sat on the floor in the master's room while he talked to Adhar about Rakhal. Rakhal was staying in Vrindavan with Balaram. The master had learnt from a letter about Rakhal's illness. He was so worried about him that 2 or 3 days earlier he had wept before Hazra like a child. Adhar had sent a registered letter to Rakhal but had received no reply. Master to Adhar, Naran has received a letter from Vrindavan. Why haven't you received a reply to yours? Adhar said, I haven't yet heard from Vrindavan. Master said, M has also received a letter from Vrindavan. They began to talk of Sri Ramakrishna's seeing a play at the Star Theatre about the life of Gauranga. Master said smilingly, Jadu told me that one could see the play very well from a 1 rupee seat. Very cheap. Once we were talking about going to Panihati. Jadu wanted me to go in a country boat with a whole crowd of passengers. All laugh. Formerly he liked to hear a little about God. But I don't see Jadu much nowadays. He's always surrounded by flatterers. They have spoiled him. He's a man of a very calculating nature. I would no sooner set foot in his house than he would ask me, how much is the carriage hire? I would say, you don't have to bother about it. You may give 2.5 rupees. That will keep him quiet. All laugh. It was late. Adhar was about to depart. The master asked M to bring Naran with him. That completes chapter 27. Maintain the meditative awareness. Don't have any conflict between work and meditation. Divinize the whole life. Consider the whole life as a yoga. Meditation and work as parts of the yoga. Surrender totally to Sri Ramakrishna and pray to him. Prayer is
very effective and very powerful, very strong. Don't be under the impression that prayer is meant for people of weak minds. It's a false notion. People of weak minds cannot do anything. Forget about that. To pray is not an easy thing. So you must develop a liking towards prayer. Then again, it comes to the point, unless you have strong aspiration, you can't have any spiritual practice. So strong spiritual aspiration is very important to achieve any result in your spiritual path. That's all the conclusion. That's what in the last class I explained. Karma sankalpa means doing action, taking all credit to yourself and feeling yourself you are totally involved and responsible for whatever the benefits you derive from the actions you perform. So such actions certainly bind a person. When the actions are done with such motivation, naturally one has to be prepared to have the effect of the actions which he had performed. Every action results in some kind of reaction. So one has to pass through the reaction in whatever way it is. If it is not towards God, if a person is not aspiring for God, or if a person's mind is not tuned towards spiritual ideas, for some reason or other, he will be always in trouble, he will be always suffering, he will be always feeling frustrated, he always feels he is suffocated, he always feels depression. All these reactions you can see in a person who does action in this way. So that is the meaning of telling, give up that karma sankalp. Detach your will from doing action. That is to say, if you think of God and then do the action, then it will not bind you. It is like smearing your hand with oil and then opening the jackfruit. The milk of the jackfruit will not stick to your hand because your hand is greased. In the same way, if you think of God and then do the work, that such type of work will not bind you because you are doing for the sake of higher purpose, for the sake of an ideal you are doing the work. Not for any selfish purpose or any selfish benefits. No. If you do the work in order to help the society at large, in order to express your love towards the society, if you do the work, in that process you also get benefit even though you don't think of it. So that's the meaning of telling karma sankalpa tyag. And again, karma phala sankalpa tyaga means don't aspire for the result of the action. That means totally concentrate on doing your duties properly. You don't have to think about the result. It will come by itself. So that is the end. So concentration is important. How you concentrate upon the work. So if you have spiritual outlook, then you will be able to perform your duties very thoroughly and without any kind of hesitation. You will perform your duties without fear or favor. So you get that spiritual strength. You built up that spiritual strength inside your system. So that is the meaning of karma phal sankalpa tyag. The third one is kartritva sankalpa tyag. That is not every time telling I have done, I have done, I have done, I have done. Cut off that I. Never say I. Sri Ramakrishna, whenever he would say this, he would refer to the body and say, this was doing, like that he would say. Anyway, the idea is, the moment you feel egoistic, then you feel you are separated from God. And you are obstructing the flow of God's power. So, whatever you do, mentally offer prayers to God and do it sincerely, devotedly, and leave everything to Him. So, not being egoistic, you get more name and fame than being egoistic. Some people do get name and fame becoming egoistic and advertising, etc. But it is short living. To take an example, Swami Vivekananda, how much he worked, how much name and fame he got, but he was completely free from ego. So the whole world was adoring him. That's the way. That is the meaning of telling kartrutva sankalpa tyaga. So when we follow these things and do the work, whatever work you do, that becomes yoga. Karma yoga means when you practice these sacrifices, when you entertain, when you cherish these ideas in your mind, if you maintain your attitude properly, then your whole life becomes blessed and everything will come. God's grace, you will understand more clearly. You will understand more clearly God's grace. I will tell you one example. Even though God's grace flows, how you will not be able to understand if your mind is not pure. That's why you insist upon purification more. All these practices are meant for purification, nothing else. Just for purification. Any exercise, whatever you may take, is meant for purification of the heart. Once that is done, you will see how God's grace is flowing incessantly and how you will be overwhelmed with joy. See, there was a particular person, because I know all the name and everything, address, everything. I don't want to tell name, address because it becomes personalized. I'm giving you only the incident just to impress upon you. It's not a story, but it is a living example. That person, particular person, was a devotee. Even now he is a devotee. He is once a devotee, he will be ever a devotee. Though for some practical reasons or for some practical difficulties, a person may not be able to come. But that does not mean that he ceases to be a devotee. No. Once he has come to Sri Ramakrishna, we cannot go back. Sri Ramakrishna himself tells, I am Cobra. So you are caught by Cobra. Even if you want to go, you will not be allowed to go. So, this particular devotee had an account of some probably some previous samskaras or the force of previous impressions. He got into certain type of depression. In the meantime, you see, when the misery comes, it comes and pounces upon you. He lost a job also. So, he lost the job and he was finding more and more miserable in the home because he didn't have anybody in the home. And of course, once he had a married life, but that again there were another reason for his frustration. So all these factors, they all jumbled up and it had become so acute and he became so miserable, and he was on the verge of committing suicide. Anyway, he was passing through all these trials and difficulties, situations, terrible situations. Finally, one thought came to him, why not he marry again? The idea of marriage entered into his heart, entered into his mind. So he consulted his guru. The guru said very clearly, forget about it. Now, this is very important. Now, Guru's grace is there. Guru is very clearly telling, forget about it. For the time being, that person was feeling joyful. I got this direction, so I will not be marrying, etc. But afterwards, the same person is telling, Swamiji, I am going to India, and they are talking of fixing up a girl for me, and I will have somebody so that I will not be in isolation. And probably if I marry, she can also work. Suppose I don't have work, she will be helpful to me, etc. He was arguing, he was talking in that strain. The point is he wants to marry. But do you want to marry? It's your responsibility. Now I am telling you. I didn't tell that person. If a person marries, it is his responsibility. Afterwards you should not say, why God made me miserable. God told you not to forget about marriage. Guru is your God. Is it not? But he has no strength. That means you must build up your strength. That's what I am telling. Guru's grace is there. Guru's love is there. Everything is there. But you are not strong enough. For small petty things you become completely shattered and totally disintegrated person. How can you undertake spiritual journey with such weak constitution? You must become very strong. So, that's why the Guru says all the time, don't expect occult power, touch my head, let all the impurities be gone. This moment I will go to heaven. Don't think like that. Why do you want that heaven? Prepare yourself properly. Earn the merit by hard working. Earn the merit. That's the point. If you practice it, God loves. Oh, here is the child. How much he is doing practice. Let me give some joy to him. God, and you will appreciate God's glory also. On account of your practice. If you don't do any practice, you won't appreciate anything. So, it is like that. And we shall stop. Chant the name of the Lord and His glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean, and quenched that mighty forest fire, worldly lust, raging furiously within. O name, stream down in moonlight on the lotus heart, opening its cup to knowledge of thyself, O self, drowned deep in the waves of his bliss, tasting his nectar at every step, bathing in his name, that bought for very souls. Various are thy names, O Lord, in each and every name thy power resides. No times are set, no rites are needful for chanting of thy name. So vast is thy mercy, how huge then is measuredness, who find in this empty life and heart no devotion to thy name. O my mind, be humbler than a blade of grass, be patient and forbearing like a tree, Take no honor to thyself, give honor to all. Chant unceasingly the name of the Lord. O Lord and soul of the universe, mine is no prayer for wealth or retinue, the playthings of lust or the toys of fame. As many times as I may be reborn, grant me, O Lord, a steadfast love for Thee. A drowning man in this world's fearful ocean is Thy servant, O sweet one. In Thy mercy consider him as dust beneath Thy feet. Oh, how I long for the day when an instant's separation from Thee, O Lord, will be as 1,000 years, when my heart burns away with its desire, and the world without Thee is a heartless void. Prostrate at Thy feet let me be, in unwavering devotion, neither imploring the embrace of Thine arms, nor bewailing the withdrawal of Thy presence. Though it tears my soul asunder, O Thou who stillest the hearts of Thy devotees, do with me what Thou wilt, for Thou art my heart's beloved, Thou and Thou alone. O Lord, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness to light, and lead us from death to immortality. May all be free from dangers, may all realize what is good, may all be actuated by noble thoughts, may all rejoice everywhere. May all be happy, may all be free from disease, may all realize what is good, may none be subject to misery. May the wicked become virtuous, may the virtuous attain tranquility, may the tranquil be free from bonds, may the freed make others free. May good betide all people, may the sovereign righteously rule the earth, may all beings ever attain what is good, may the worlds be prosperous and happy. May the clouds pour rain in time. May the earth be blessed with crops. May all countries be freed from calamity. May holy men live without fear. May the Lord, the destroyer of sins, the presiding deity of all sacred works, be satisfied. For He being pleased, the whole universe becomes pleased. He being satisfied, the whole universe feels satisfied.